How you doing, guys? This is Anthony Joshua, one of UK's hottest British prospects coming up in the heavyweight division. Stay tuned, stay locked. You're tuned into Behind the Gloves.
We've never really tried probably hard enough.
Okay.
There's been a few times that I kicked myself because I think initially when we looked at working together, he was a little bit unproven, but he went on to prove himself. And then the next time, obviously, we had Darren Barker winning a world title, and you know, a lot of our focus was on him. And then I kicked myself again when I saw him fight Sergio Martinez. And even when he fought Gennady Golovkin, you know, he's proved himself time and time again. And it's not that, you know, you feel sorry for him because he hasn't been given the respect and the credibility, because he's done very well for himself. But you kind of feel like there's a big job to do in terms of the profile of Martin Murray, in terms of giving him what he deserves in the UK. And I think that I can do that with Sky. I think that he's got the ability to make that happen, and I think he's got the balls to make that happen as well, because he will fight anyone. You know, he's one of those people that you can tell him an opponent, he will never say no to an opponent. How can he? When he's boxed Martinez in Argentina and Golovkin. So he's fought the very, very best. So for him, a fight against DeGale, Groves, like that's just like a given. So he can be involved in those big fights. We've got to make sure it's at the right time. I need an opportunity to grow Martin Murray. It might be 3 or 4 months, it might be 8, 10 months, it might be a year. But when he's in those fights, they've got to be big enough. And if he can win those fights, he needs to be big enough to be able to exploit his position. And that's the problem with not growing a fighter, is that when they get the big breakthrough, if they're not big enough, they can't capitalise how they should do if they were built correctly on the way up.
Yeah, no, that's the thing though. With Martin Murray, he's fought these world champions, been in these world title fights, but if you mention his name in the UK,
sure.
That's the thing. The general public don't really know of his what he's done.
I would say he's bigger in America than he is,
exactly.
You know, and he's not even fought there. You know, don't forget he's boxed in Germany, Argentina, and Monaco.
Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, the Monaco fight was seen on Channel 5 by a big audience, but I think the perception was, one is, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And he's an opponent. Do you know what I mean? So, really, if that was on Sky, the audience would have been smaller, but the build-up would have got everybody's attention, and more people would have known who Martin Murray was. So, you know, I think that now we've got the opportunity to build him on Sky, let him enjoy himself, let him get a backing and a following like he should do, and then go from there.
Obviously, you said that he's moved up to 168 pounds. You've not ruled out that he's going to fight at middleweight again. But what's the sort of plan in place for Martin Murray?
Well, he can box at 160 or 168 pound. I think domestically, the 168 pound division is in such a great place that I think we should capitalise on that. Really, to be honest with you, if the right fight comes up at middleweight, whether that's Andy Lee, whoever, Matthew Macklin, that's definitely a fight that can happen. But I think ultimately, you know, with the likes of James DeGale, Carl Froch, George Groves, you know, 168 pound is going to provide great opportunities, and they're fights that you know can happen.
What about Callum Smith?
I think Martin Murray at the moment, you know, Callum Smith's a young gun coming through. He's got a job to do against Christopher Abbas. He wants to become the mandatory for George Groves against Badu Jack winner, which we can make happen. So I think that that's not a fight on Martin Murray's radar at the moment. But listen, in 12 months' time, if Callum beats Badu Jack or George Groves wins a world title, then he's going to be right in the mix as well. We need all these guys to grow as well, because there's guys at the high end, you know, talking about Froch, DeGale, Groves, Murray, and then Paul Smith even, you know, he's fighting Andre Ward. And then you've got the guys, you know, Callum, Buglioni even, if he can, you know, do something, Rocky. So it's got full depth at the division.
Let's talk about another one of your super middleweight fighters, Carl Froch. Is there any sort of latest news in regards to his future?
I mean, every interview I do,
I know, but people
we
just
get asked, and it's like I have conversations with Carl, you know, once, twice a week, and we chat for about an hour, and then at the end of it we say, so what are we doing then? It's like,
so he's
I don't
basically
really know, you know.
He's enjoying gardening, is that?
Yeah, but he did a little bit the other day. Said he was going to do 6 threes on the bag, and he did about a round and a half, and just took his gloves off and said,
okay.
So it's not a great sign. If he does fight, you know, I saw the stuff about people saying, oh, you know, Golovkin's promoter, Loeffler, saying, oh, we're ignoring him. We're not. We just don't know if we're going to fight. We know what the deal is.
Yeah.
And if we fight, we'll probably fight Golovkin. But I don't think he'll fight again. That's the gut feeling I get.
I just wanted to clarify a couple of things on Kell Brook as well. There was certain rumours on social media about maybe a Mayweather fight. Can you give us anything on that?
No, I guess we're in the hat.
Okay.
I mean, you know, they know we want it. Wouldn't say there's been negotiations, but
Okay.
of course, Kell Brook's a world champion. I've reached out to them and said we'll grab it with both hands. Like I said, I would guess we're in the hat.
Okay.
I don't know. You know, I never felt that Khan would get the fight because of Ramadan and you know, because he said that he couldn't fight in September. But I would definitely say he's a strong candidate if he's willing to skip Ramadan.
Okay.
But I don't know. I mean, it's difficult to come back off the back of the Pacquiao fight with a fight that's going to captivate the market and the public. You know, Danny Garcia. I don't know. You know.
Also, Robert Garcia, trainer to Brandon Rios, came out and there's been two issues. First of all, they're saying that you're not offering Brandon Rios a lot of money. What's your response in regards to that?
Well, he must be doing very well for himself. I mean, you know, you're crushing through 7 figures with our offer. So, don't know. Maybe he's got other fights out there where he can earn more money. If he can, why hasn't he taken them already? So, you know, we've made him a substantial offer. If you don't want it, we'll move on to the next one. It's not a problem. He ain't a mandatory.
Yeah.
We're giving him a shot. You know, Robert Garcia, God, mate, he loves to talk. I mean, I've been watching some of his things. I mean, he said, oh, they're banning us from using the gloves. No. The British Boxing Board of Control do not like Everlast MX gloves.
Okay.
They didn't want to let Yevgeny Gradovich wear them against Lee Selby.
Okay.
Bute used them against Froch. I think that was the last major fight where a fighter had used those gloves, and we had problems with it then with the board. The board want to stop fighters using Everlast MX in the UK.
Okay.
If they do that, that's their decision. I'm sure Kell Brook wouldn't care less about Brandon Rios, whatever gloves he wears. But Robert Garcia is like on another level, and you know, if the board choose to ban those gloves, they choose to ban the gloves. Kell Brook couldn't give a monkey's what gloves he uses. He'd go bare fist if they want. Still not going 6 rounds. You know, so I like the Rios fight. I think it's got a great chance of happening.
If not Rios, then what other names have you got there?
You know, I think there's so many fights. Obviously, a lot of people talk about Brook Thurman. I think it's a great fight down the line.
That's one that's been...
Of course, we want the Khan fight. You know, I think the Marquez fight is out there. I love the Bradley Vargas winner in a unification fight. We're just at the moment deciding whether Kell boxes at the end of August or just waits till the end of September, early October. He's had 2 back-to-back camps now, and I'm seeing him tomorrow.
Finally, Anthony Joshua, yesterday came out that Anthony Joshua was pushed up to number 2 in the WBC ranking. First of all, do you think that's a generous ranking? And secondly, why is he so high? Why is he being put so high?
He's
in that
so
ranking?
high because every governing body would love Anthony Joshua to fight for their version of the title. So it's definitely generous. I think he's a top 15 fighter in every governing body without question. But 2 is quite lofty. But you know, you can see why. But I think he knows that as well. He's got a long way to go. You know, we've got targets for this year. You know, Dylan White, I think he's a great fighter for him. Manuel Char, I think he's a great fight. Tony Thompson, I think he's a great fight. Carlos Takam, Ustinov, Chisel. You know, all these fights are out there for him. But you know, I think we've got to move him at the right pace.
Finally, Carl Frampton's been announced as fighting his first fight for Al Heyman in Texas. What do you make of that fight? And have they got in touch with you further about the Scott Quigg fight?
Well, I think it's a poor fight. I think everyone knows that, but I don't necessarily blame him for that. He's had an opportunity to go and fight in America. It's just disappointing that he chooses to take that fight rather than the Scott Quigg fight. But again, we go around in circles, and you know, I think he hit a bit of a wall over here, and I think the opportunity to box in America is a good one for him. Can't really big the fight up for you because it's going to go 3 or 4 rounds, and it's going to be easy work for him. And if Scott Quigg was in that fight, you wouldn't hear the end of it. So I always said that Quigg would be in a much tougher fight next, Kiko Martinez. But I don't blame Frampton for going to take that good money for an easy fight.
Okay, and finally, what's the next couple of shows for Matchroom over the next couple of months?
So we've got June the 26th at Liverpool, Echo Arena, Martin Murray, Tony Bellew, Callum Smith against Rabras, Rocky Fielding against Brian Vera, Tom Duran. Then on July the 18th, we've got Scott Quigg against Kiko Martinez, Anthony Crollo against Darlis Perez, Anthony Joshua, Glenn Foote against Sam Eggington for the British, Chris Jenkins against Tyrone Nurse for the British. August the 1st we'll announce tomorrow, Luke Campbell against Tommy Coyle. Some big fights on that card as well we'll announce tomorrow. Maybe August the 29th in Sheffield, September the 5th maybe in Leeds, September the 12th definitely at the O2, September the 19th probably in Cardiff, and October will be Birmingham and Newcastle. Other than that, we haven't really got a lot on.
Eddie, thank you very much for talking to Brian.
Fans, if you guys haven't already done so, make sure you download the Behind the Gloves app. It's free, and it features really cool stuff like a fight calendar that reminds you of all the upcoming fights, and it allows for you to, with one click, to remind yourself directly to your phone. And it also features 24/7 breaking news that's going on in boxing. So make sure you guys go ahead and do that and subscribe to this channel.